Hey witches, Tiffany here on Bewitching.Bemused. Today I want to go over some really thrifty ways that you can harvest a ton of different ingredients at home. Now this definitely isn't a complete list. I'm sure there are a ton more that you guys can come up with. I'd love to hear them. Leave them down in the comments below if they're not in this video. But a big reason that I want to broach this topic is one, harvesting ingredients at home is definitely a really good way to save some money because as we all know, ingredients can get a little pricey. And two, it's because, well, you guys know how I feel about correspondences. I always tell you, get creative with your craft and use things that resonate with you for what they symbolize for you, not necessarily just what a correspondence book tells you they correspond to. And one way to find ingredients that already hold a lot of meaning for you, that you already mentally associate with various correspondences, is to gather them either right within your own home, in your own yard, or even just in a local park. And as we all know, witchcraft sometimes requires a little bit of hoarding. Like, ooh, this old food jar might come in handy. I'm gonna clean it and hang on to that. Ooh, it's a pretty leaf. Look at this twig. Look at this rock. I'm doing that stuff all the time. Almost anytime I'm outdoors, I'm coming across little things. And sometimes I do have to tell myself, like, all right, Tiff, calm down. You don't need to take the rock home. Just calm down. But anyway, there are some things that are pretty obvious, like if you come across some wildflowers or a leaf or a rock or a twig or some bark that you want to harvest and bring it home with you. Hopefully you're already doing so, and please continue to do that. I find that stuff to be so important in my craft. And those items that I find on my own do tend to be way more impactful, for me anyway, that's just my personal thing, in my spell work than something that I buy in a store. There are of course plenty of things I do buy in stores, but anyway, I just wanted to put together a list of some commonly found items that most people kind of overlook and don't think to incorporate into their craft. So here they are. I already mentioned leaves and wildflowers, but one thing that gets overlooked a lot are weeds. Now keep in mind, things like mugwort, dandelions, those are all considered weeds and they often just get yanked out of our yards and thrown away. But I highly suggest you start harvesting these. Look into the medicinal properties of these things, and a lot of them have different medicinal properties depending on whether it's the leaf, the stem, the root, the petals, whatever. You can also examine what they've been used for historically, and then of course draw your own associations as well. Some of them will definitely be easier than others. Just take a dandelion. Once it's at that stage where it's puffy and white, I'm sure we all grew up, you know, you make a wish and then you blow it away. But of course, dandelions in general do have a lot more medicinal purposes and things like that. So definitely look into them, harvest things in your yard, do a little bit of research to identify them, and then incorporate them in your craft, whether fresh or dry them. Some of them are edible, so keep in mind, you can incorporate them into teas or into your cooking. Other ones are just great for burning. Of course, always do your safety research and make sure that it is safe to burn or safe to ingest. You guys know the spiel. Next up, I want to talk about ash. Now, I'm always collecting leftover ash, whether that's from incense sticks, incense cones, collecting it from a fire pit. You can also get them from herb bundles. You can take ash and mix them with oils. You can use it to make black salt, make an ink out of it, or just straight up dip your finger in some of the ash and finger paint with it, or write out a sigil or what have you. You can also sprinkle some around. It's really up to you. And of course, some people like to separate their different ashes. If it was used in a magical working, they may want to separate by intention or correspondence, or they might want to separate it depending, you know, what type of incense was burned. Personally, unless I've used it for something super special, I just kind of gather it all together. I don't separate it out. But again, it's completely up to you. Let's talk about candle wax. Now, oftentimes when you burn down a candle, there's nothing left, or you've burned it on top of a jar and now that wax is sealing the lid of the jar, which is what you wanted. But that's not always the case. I know I'm super addicted to scented candles, and these jar ones are always leaving leftover wax. You may not want to do this with scented candles unless the scents are complementary, but you can always make unscented ones, or yes, mix scents and make a new candle out of it. You can use it as a sealing wax on your jars or on petitions. or simply cut apart chunks of scented wax and toss them in a wax warmer. That is going to lead me into partially used birthday candles. Now, this one might be a bit debatable because you may not necessarily want to take somebody else's birthday candle that you know for sure they made a wish with and then use it in another working. Again, go with your instincts on that. But of course, birthday candles in general are a great way to have a small, quick burning candle, something you can easily keep hidden if you need to, or just as a more affordable alternative to regular candles. And when you put birthday candles in a birthday cake and you light them, they're only lit for what, like 20 seconds max? They get blown out pretty quickly, and there's usually still a good amount of candle left that can still be used. And hey, if they were for your own birthday cake, whether you made a wish or not, those things are extra jam-packed with different intentions and correspondences. You have new beginnings. If you were gathered with family and friends, you have all of their positive energy celebrating you specifically. You also have the power of home and kitchen, food. And as birthday candles are typically used for making wishes, well, you also have a little bit of wish magic mixed up in there. So next time you have a birthday cake, don't just blow out the candles and throw them away. Save them. If you are someone who eats eggs, hang on to those eggshells. You can clean them up, toss them in the oven on a low heat enough to remove the membrane easily. You can either crumble them up or you can grind them into a fine powder. They're great in fertility spells. They're also great for creating protection barriers outdoors, especially in areas where you have plants or grass where salt may ruin them. And they also make great plant fertilizer. If you eat meat, hang on to the bones. I am constantly getting whole chickens and saving onto the bones, particularly the wishbone. Just make sure to clean them properly, and then they can be used in a variety of things. You can use them for bone casting. You can carve things into them. I like to use the wishbone as a good luck talisman. I also use it in wish fulfilling spells. Less bone related, you can also hang on to anything that your pets have shed. So fur, snakeskin, a hermit crab shell. Also harvest from local animals. That could be a wasp or a bird's nest. Of course, for entirely different reasons, make sure both of those are completely empty and done being used before you harvest those nests. You definitely don't want to take away a bird's home, and you also definitely don't want to be stung by wasps. If you have the stomach for it, you can also forage roadkill. Just please, please, please take all safety precautions. Do a little research into how to properly handle it, how to properly clean it. But I've also found plenty of already pre-cleaned and bleached bones just while out hiking. I do bring them home and clean them up and sanitize them a bit more. But it's one way that you don't have to work with, anything other than just the bone. Now let's move on to gift items. Almost every time I order a piece of jewelry online, it comes inside of a cute little gift bag or pouch. These can always be used as charm bags later on. I also like to fill these with things like dried lavender and chamomile and put them under my pillow. In that same vein, we often get gifts that are tied up with a ribbon. I like to hang on to these as well. Sometimes I'll use them to fasten a charm bag shut. Use them for items that need to be hung up or anything that requires some sort of binding. And with the bags and with the ribbon, you can look at color correspondences. Was it a gift that you gave to yourself? Because maybe that's perfect for a self-love spell. Was it a gift you received for somebody else? Well, then maybe it's great for a friendship. But another thrifty thing that you can also use for charm bags are the toes of used socks or stockings, washed, of course. So many times I've had a pair of tights that had a big old run in them. I wasn't gonna wear them anymore, but the toes were perfectly fine. So I just cut that off, make sure it's clean, and use it as a charm bag. Hang on to any old bricks that you have laying around on your property or that you have happened to come across at an old demolished building in your town or something. I don't know. I have a whole video on red brick dust and red ochre. You can check that out right up there, or the link is in the description box below. And finally, hang on to old and or rusty nails, pins, tacks. Yes, these are often used in curses, but they can also be used for protection and other things. All right, like I said, that was just a quick list because I kind of wanted to give you guys some creative ideas, but I'm sure you can look around the house, look around your yard, look around your town, and find plenty of more useful items right around you that you can get for absolutely free. And I do always feel that adding your own correspondence for something, really imagining all the different things that it symbolizes to you, the energies that it's absorbed, as well as harvesting and preparing it yourself, adds a little bit more power to it. Always take a moment and consider not just what this symbolizes in a book of correspondences, but, where did this come from? What is it typically used for? Where did you get it? Who did you get it from? What was the landscape you got it from? Finding something in the forest might have a bit of a different vibe than something that you find in the comfort of your own home. What event led you to finding it? How did you feel when you found it? Factor all of that in. I'm on Facebook and Instagram at Bewitching.Bemused, and my email address is Bewitching.Bemused@gmail.com. This Sunday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time is going to be our live stream. I have a topic picked out, but don't forget, I'm always taking questions afterward, either related to the topic or something else entirely. Doesn't really matter. I'm just there to hang out and have a good time with you guys. So make sure to tune in right here on YouTube for that. If you thought these were some good tips, please hit that thumbs up. And I think that is everything. So, oh no, also, if you have any other things that you like to harvest locally on your own, leave those down in the comments below if it wasn't covered in this video, because I'd love to hear more ideas, and I love when you guys inspire one another. Okay, that is finally it. I will see you all soon.